building, working out with this team. The Rams were happy to have him back, and that's certainly an encouraging sign for them. Obviously, his contract is still out there right now. We'll see what happens with that, but he's back with the team for now, and that's what matters. Meanwhile, the Colts, who signed Alec Pierce for that mammoth deal during the offseason, have lost him for the remainder of the offseason. Alec Pierce underwent ankle surgery. He'll miss the offseason program. The surgery was addressed to help him with a nagging injury that he played through last season that was bothering him. The Colts are hoping now he's ready for training camp and it won't be a long-term issue right now. And today, the Dallas Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey became the highest paid kicker in NFL history, a 4-year, $28 million extension that included $20 million guaranteed. He was a restricted free agent. The deadline to sign him to an offer sheet from another team expired Friday. He had to be in Dallas, and he gets done that big deal. Another big deal that got done today. Trent Williams and the 49ers reaching agreement on a 2-year, $50 million deal that includes $37 million guaranteed. The deal essentially has been agreed to for a couple of weeks. They still were going over the language. The language was finalized today, and now the 49ers get back their future Hall of Fame left tackle to man that position. He's under contract for the next 2 years. He's been a Hall of Fame player and also Hall of Fame businessman. Trent Williams has killed it on the contract front.
Yeah, congrats to him. The big fella next to me loves it. Mina, what do you make of this move and maybe how it should affect the way that the 49ers approach this draft?
It always had to get done because everything San Francisco has done this offseason suggests they do recognize this is their Super Bowl window, right? Signing Mike Evans, trading for Odigizua. And so Williams, who is the linchpin of that offensive line, has to be in the building. I'm not surprised they tried to get this done, but I don't think this stops them necessarily from drafting his successor or depth, frankly. I mean, Williams is 37 years old, missed some games. The Niners saw what life is like without him. You see the on-off splits in the run game in particular, and I think there's some intriguing offensive tackles who might be there at the end of the first round. I really like Caleb Lomu out of Utah as a developmental option for them, but because they have Williams and McKivitz, that player doesn't have to play immediately, which, if you're a franchise, is the best place to be in, quite frankly, when you're drafting linemen.
Yeah, when you think about what they need and what they'll do going forward, 49ers averages 3.8 yards per rush last season, 30th in the NFL. Let's get to some more news and some things happening around the league. New on NFL Live, Josh Allen was asked why he was in attendance at today's voluntary workout.
I think having a new coach, understanding that process, and just trying to be here. And obviously we got a lot of new guys, a lot of new coaches, new faces in the building. Just wanting to make sure that my presence is felt here and trying to relay what Joe has in store for us and make sure that, like I said earlier, I can be the best version of myself and be the best leader for this team that I can be.
Leadership on display. Dan, where should the focus be when the Bills are on the clock Thursday, though?
Yeah, I really believe it should be edge rusher. I know a lot of people are going to attach wide receiver. Reminder, they took a second-round pick and traded for DJ Moore. Keldrick Falk out of Auburn is a nice player. Could somehow Akeem Mesidor from Miami fall to them. I just think with where they are as a football team, and I think the way that they're stylistically built to play offense, they don't necessarily need another wide receiver. They need edge pressure, and I think inside linebacker help as well.
Yeah, Caden McDonald's a beast, too. You see Jordan Reed has him mocked there. New on NFL Live, Marcus, pay attention here. Dexter Lawrence had an answer in his introductory press conference. You're going to love this.
Twin, what up?
It seems like over the last couple of years, teams that have been really successul have had really good defensive lines. Yep. Why do you think that trend has been prevalent, really, over the last couple of years?
You know, we're the best athletes on the field. It's easy, man.
Why do you think BMB started?
Hey!
To continue to prove that point. Sexy Dexy. We got receivers dancing like us. We got people on TV trying to dance like Sexy Dexy. We are trendsetters. We are not twins. We are trendsetters, okay?
The best was when we came in here and somebody asked Swag if he could still dunk.
Yeah.
He said no, but
no,
what?
I can do a killer layup, though.
Tell him.
My
When was the
layup
last time
package
you
is
dunked?
Kyrie-like.
When's the last time you dunked? 20 years?
Yes.
Dan, when's the last time you
15,
dunked?
20 years ago.
Never.
Never. You never could dunk?
I could never dunk on a dribble. I could dunk.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you don't know what it's like to be me.
I don't.
He doesn't, and he'll never.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
but
don't want to.
A lot of people at home watching on their couch, they know what it's like to be you. Coming up next on NFL Live with 2 picks in the top 10. Could the Giants possibly end up with Caleb Downs? We'll discuss. Plus, Dan, we'll talk about what makes...
A lot of ways the Giants can go with these picks, and a lot will depend on how the first 4 picks Thursday night shake out. We don't know exactly whether there'll be 2 pass rushers that go before the Giants or one of them surprisingly will fall to them, which is certainly a possibility here if the Arizona Cardinals can't trade out at number 3 and if they go ahead and take Jeremiah Love at that spot, which is in consideration. The Titans will come up next. If they opted against a pass rusher, which is certainly in play here, then one of those pass rushers could be there for the Giants. As it is, I think a lot of people feel like they could come away with one of these Ohio State defensive players, Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs. They also have an obvious admiration and respect for Jordan Tyson. They were at his pro workday on Friday, impressed with him, really seemed to like him. Again, a lot of ways the Giants can go, but they feel like they'll come out of this with 2 key players.
All right, keep an eye on that. The Jordan Tyson play is really interesting. A lot of people talked about his talent. I think Dan tweeted out as soon as the trade happened, Jordan Tyson, you are a Giant. So I don't know what Dan knows. Maybe he knows more than us. Jordan Reed, by the way, putting out an updated mock draft today that includes this trade. The Giants have 3 picks in the top 40 now. Jordan has New York taking Sonny Styles at 5 and his Buckeye teammate Caleb Downs at 10. That would be an impressive haul from some great defensive players. Dan Orlovsky hopped into the virtual world to break down the Ohio State safety.
Okay, Dan. You good at it.
Caleb Downs won the Jim Thorpe Award as the nation's best defensive back last season, and he's a true Swiss Army knife. He can play 10 of the 11 defensive positions and lined up literally all over the field at Ohio State in the last 2 seasons, spending time at safety, both corner positions, off-ball linebacker, and yes, edge rusher. Downs has rare football instincts and can impact the game in multiple ways. He's one of 3 players with multiple interceptions and at least 60 tackles in each of the last 3 years. And he had 253 total tackles in his college career. Downs finds the football at a different pace, which makes him impossible to throw against. He didn't allow a single touchdown in 823 coverage snaps at Ohio State, adding 4 interceptions and 9 PBUs in the last 2 seasons. Downs can simply do it all on defense, and we'll hear his name early in round 1.
Tell him, Dan. By the way, you can't play all those positions and not be incredible.
That's one thing you're good at.
You have to be incredibly smart to be able to do what he does. I think the football intelligence is a key piece of him, too.
Well, we got
I wasn't talking about you.
I don't want to go that far.
Mina, does Caleb Downs make sense in New York to you?
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Downs makes sense most places, quite frankly. But when you look at the spine of this Giants defense, it's such a glaring need, both linebacker and safety. And the idea of potentially getting Styles and Downs to fill those needs would turn a real weakness on the roster into a strength if the draft were to somehow shake out that way for them. Both highly cerebral players. I mean, when you watch Downs, he's just constantly communicating on the field, both pre and post-snap. And it would address really what was the Giants' biggest problem last year, which was their abysmal run defense, 32nd league-wide in DVOA. When you watch Caleb and Styles, to me, they're the 2 best tacklers at their positions in the draft. So I would be pretty thrilled, especially, thinking about this team from a timeline perspective. That's your young core on defense, and you already have the really good edge rushers. They're one of the few teams, by the way, too, where you feel a little better about going at so-called lower value positions because they already have pass rushers, which, Marcus, very few teams in the NFL are set there, but the Giants might be one of them.
No doubt, MK. Nobody's going to bat an eye if this team takes Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. They would be ecstatic, by the way. I just think if Love is anywhere in this conversation, that you would be hard-pressed not to think about it, knowing that you had a second pick where you could go a defensive guy. Maybe not one of those guys, but still get a really good, heavy defensive draft where somebody could come and impact that side of the ball. Jeremiah, to me, he's going to make a lot of people probably regret not taking him. I look at the impact that a Bijan Robinson has made, even though that team hasn't won a lot. But you think about a young quarterback in New York. John Harbaugh he wants to run the football at a high clip. He's had successful running backs in Baltimore his entire career, damn near. They've been one of the leading rushing teams. So I don't think you can just pass that pick with Love and say, well, we're not going to think about it because we need to build this defense in such a defensive-rich draft where you may be able to really get good players later on. I think Jeremiah Love's name is going to fly around in that room.
He's not going to still be there at 10, so you'd have to take him at 5. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it as this week goes. I think Giants at 5 and 10. I wanted to hit on Downs a little bit. I think he plays a premium position in the NFL nowadays. About 2 or 3 years ago, our show started to talk about how football was kind of circling back to, running the football. And then the last year or two, it was a little bit more of offenses playing from underneath the center, multiple tight ends on the field. You and I grew up in the era where the nickel was as important a position as there was in football. And if I just look at the defenses that were really good last year.
They all had one.
Nicky Manwari in Seattle changed it. Cooper DeJean in Philly changed it. Derwin James in L.A. impacted it. Jalen Petrie in Houston changed it. McMillan in Denver. I just think he may not be your every down safety.
Yeah.
I think he's an every down nickel. And I just believe that is a premium position in the NFL.
You could go back to Tyrann Mathieu when he came to Kansas City.
100%.
You can go back.
Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore.
Yeah, because, Mina, some people say, well, this is too high to take a safety. But to Dan's point, the versatility there and how he would actually play, right, makes you say at 5 it's not at all too high.
I think it also has to do with the alternatives because, if you don't take it, if there's a premium edge rusher, you take the edge rusher over the safety if you had a real need at corner because of the financial aspects, but that's just not the case, right, potentially for New York. The player he reminds me of, we're going to talk about this later in the week, is Brian Branch, actually.
Totally.
Who fell way too far for Detroit in terms of how I would use him, his potential as a blitzer as well, but the fact that you could have him closer to the box. He's so good against the run, but also has the ability to cover tight ends and backs.